welcome Priya.
Hello, everybody. My name is Priya Vijayakumar. And let me tell you, I am so absolutely, completely ready to leave Detroit Country Day School. And of course, I mean this in the nicest way possible. Honestly, realistically, the past 4 years have been incredible. I've met so many wonderful people. I've discovered some passions that I want to continue exploring in college. And most importantly, I've learned how to function like a sane human being with only 4 hours of sleep. Which, might I add, is insanely unhealthy, and I blame institutionalized education. Just kidding. I promise I'm just kidding. I really am. I've grown so much, more than I imagined I would on my first day, both academically and personally. But what I want to focus on today is an aspect of my personal growth that I only realized a few weeks ago, and that is learning to let my freak flag fly. Let me make one thing clear. We are all freaks. We are all just a bunch of oddballs and weirdos with unique identities that set us apart from each other. But why is it that when it comes to showing off what makes us individuals, we sometimes feel embarrassed, shy, and even afraid? I mean, it's true, I shamelessly wear a beret in public, but I've come to the realization that I didn't really stand by every aspect of my identity. Especially the Indian part of being Indian American. And I know it's cliche, right? Talking about embracing your bicultural identity in 2017, as though you haven't seen a video or read an article on the same topic by BuzzFeed in the last 24 hours. But given our political climate, I don't think this message can be stressed enough. You see, I thought I was 100% confident with being Indian American. I don't feel embarrassed about wearing Indian clothes in public. I don't pronounce my name differently so that it can be said easily for other people. I love Indian music. Aziz Ansari is my hero. But while that's nice and all, every single time someone has racially profiled me or my family or my friends, I've somehow became silent. When someone told me to go back to my own country, which this actually happened and I was surprised, I was silent. I mean, I felt anger within me when even very educated people slipped up between the words Hindu or Hindi or imitated the Indian accent, which I admit can be extremely funny, but it's not distractingly funny. I kept this frustration within my comfort zone, meaning I expressed it through rants to my other Indian friends, my parents, my sister, or Laura, the honorary Indian. Basically, I didn't make any effort to express my frustrations or clarify misunderstandings about my culture to the people who needed to hear it most. The thought didn't even occur to me that I was obligated to do this because, honestly, I was afraid of being mocked. I was afraid that people would dismiss my frustrations with the excuse I hear all the time. It's just a joke and it's not a big deal. At least this is how I felt until just 3 weeks ago when 2 Indian immigrants were shot in Kansas and one of them unfortunately passed away. And also when 2 weeks ago, I'm talking about the religion, a Sikh man was shot in the driveway of his own home. They were all told to go back to their own country, simply due to the color of their skin and other aspects of their outward appearance. These hate crimes inflicted an incredible amount of pain, confusion, anger, and disgust in me. The inadequate media coverage wasn't helping either. I cried naturally, both out of frustration and fear, and I spent too much time just staring at a wall, feeling confused. I could only imagine how the families of these men felt. I wondered if they had felt betrayed. This was the point at which I realized that I couldn't hold in my frustrations anymore. When people in my community were being subject to hate crimes, it wasn't right to just be silent. And this is when I realized that while ignorance has the power to kill, silence does too. So today, I will take at least step one in breaking my silence to briefly clarify some commonly misunderstood aspects of my Indian heritage. Just a few things based on what people have told me in real life, more than once, by just very different people. Number one, Indian people bow down to cows. I don't know where people got this information from. And yes, more than one person has actually said this to me with the utmost conviction. My simple answer to this is kind of. I mean, it's true that if a person and a cow were to cross a really busy street in India, only the cow would make it to the other side alive. But this is because cows are viewed as sacred in the Indian culture, specifically in Hinduism, because they are related to some deities. But to make it short, no, if I see a random cow outside, my immediate reaction is not to bow down to it. Number two, Hindu and Hindi are interchangeable words. They aren't the same words. And I can definitely understand why this confusion occurs, because they are obviously spelled very similarly. So let me just clarify this. Hindu refers to someone who practices the religion Hinduism. Hindi refers to one of the 22 official languages of India. And sidebar, let's hit number 3 while we're on this topic. Do you speak Indian is not a valid question, because there are 22 different languages in India and none of them are called Indian. Number 4, our parents are crazy. Wait, actually, this one is definitely true. So I guess there's nothing much to say other than moving on. Number 5, last one, this isn't really a clarification, but is an honest question on my part. Why do so many people refer to Native Americans as Indians in 2017? You don't understand. This was the cause of my first identity crisis in the 3rd grade when we were learning about Sacagawea and I was convinced that I was related to her. I told so many people. So please let me know later after this speech if you have a response to my concern, because I'd really like to know the reasoning. So coming back to my original point, I want to reinforce the idea of not being silent regarding your identity. Because we all know that these hate crimes that I mentioned before are not new to the Indian community, the Black community, the Muslim community, the LGBTQ community, or the disabled community, just to name a few. And unfortunately, ignorance is rampant. And as much as we are afraid to face it, those who are defiant and brave enough to flaunt their identities and educate others should know that they're truly making a difference and they're strengthening their communities. One final reminder, as my sister always says, let your freak flag fly. Okay, shoutouts. To all of my friends, especially Anisha, Lara, Samina, Tara, Kayla, Amy, and Kavya, thank you for being amazing company. You inspire me on the daily, and I'm so fortunate to have you as my friends. To the Pinkela Advisory, you guys are all just so nice and positive, and I think some of it has rubbed off on me. So thank you for making me less of a bitter cynic. To my IB advisors, Mr. Porter, D. Will, and Mr. Freeman, thank you so much for being encouraging. The IB program has definitely pushed me out of my comfort zone. I mean, I've only cried like twice today. But honestly, I wouldn't be so interested in learning about global perspectives or be introspective and metacognitive if I didn't take this academic route. So thank you so much. To Mrs. Pinkela, Mrs. Sullivan, Mrs. Frednick, and Mrs. Alio, thank you so much for getting me into college. But truly, along with Mr. Doherty, you have all been such supportive individuals, and I really value all of the advice you've given me over the years. Lastly, to my parents and sister, Nithya, thank you for never giving up on me. Thank you for driving me around literally everywhere and always asking if I've even eaten yet. You have incredible patience, and I know that you always tell me that you're proud of me, but one day I will make you proud by my own standards. And I'm just so blessed to have you as my family. Thank you, everyone.